Again, good afternoon, Sir Protacio. Good afternoon, classmates. I am Giffemy and Oculam, and I will be the one to continue the topic 11. We are through with the chapter 11.1 until the chapter 11.17. Now, we will proceed with the chapter 11.18 until 11.26. So, what are we waiting for? Let's continue. Adjusting leadership styles. Leaders come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them are more hands-on and persistent, while others tend to be observant and correct as needed. But a successful leader knows the importance of adjusting their leadership styles to fit any situation. Remember that personality traits reflect an individual's preferences, not their limitations. Meaning your own traits leads you to the situations that you prefer. For example, if you are this type of individual that is competitive and an adrenaline junkie, you tend to join organizations or even competitions that makes your life exciting and challenging. But for the people who prefer a serene and quiet life, they are likely to stay on their comfort zones, but it doesn't mean that they wouldn't accept challenges that will test their abilities. That's why it's important to understand that an individual can perform in various situations that they are not used to. As a leader, you are free to change the leadership style that you are going to use for your team. Successful leaders have the ability to look at situations with different perspectives. They assess the situation and behavior of the team members, after which they determine the type of leadership approach to use in order to get the best result. Conflict in any setting is frustrating and uncomfortable. Like anyone else, we are all wishing we live in a world of complete peace, compliance, and agreement. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So as a leader, it is your goal to observe on what conflict resolution style you are comfortable with. If it is collaborating, for example, which involves listening to both sides, discussing areas of agreement and goals, and ensuring that all parties understand each other, work to improve that style so that you can use it aside from your basic styles. Let's proceed to Myers and Briggs model. The Myers and Briggs Personality Type Indicator, or MBTI, is a self-report inventory designed to identify a person's personality type, strengths, and preferences. It was developed by Isabel Myers together with her mother, Catherine Briggs. So this questionnaire is made up of four different scales. So I want you to look at the figure in the left side of the slide. So this is the personality types key. Extraversion to introversion, sensing to intuition, thinking to feeling, and judging to perceiving. Okay, so for example, a project leader who's more on thinking than feeling needs to exert extra effort to be considerate of the team members who are more feeling. As a leader, you have to select what process you would prefer when it comes to decision making. You can try this self-report questionnaire by visiting this site. As you can see from the slide, it's the www.mbtionline.com. It will charge a small fee, but it was for the purpose of funding the ongoing research of psychometrics and personality and to make sure that their tools meet the highest standards. You will discover your own preference and you will meet the personality type you're successful with. On the other hand, you'll be able to recognize abilities that you need to improve in order to achieve better performances. Let's proceed in working with groups and teams. Team is defined as a group of people with different personalities who will perform interdependent tasks to work towards accomplishing a mission or objective that is being led by someone with favored leadership style. Team is also an important aspect in project management to manage the interactions of these personalities and styles as a group. Now, let's further discuss working with groups and teams. Let's begin with trust. Trust is the foundation for all the relationships within a project. Trust is both emotional and logical activity. Emotionally, because you expose your vulnerabilities to people, believing that they will not take advantage of you being open. Logically, because it is where you assess the probabilities of gain and loss, concluded that the person in question will behave in a predictable manner. When it comes to project, for example, if the upper management notice that there are problems such as increase in their project costs and missing deadlines, the underlying cause is blamed on communication breakdown. Communication breakdown exists due to the failure in exchanging communication, which is associated with breakdown in trust. It can be the workers performing the project, or the people who doesn't trust each other, or the employer that no longer trusts the employee. In projects, trust is considered the filter to screen informations that is being shared and received. In communicating, this filter is something that can delete, distort, or generalize the message we're trying to share. For example, if the workers executing a project values the trust between each other, the easier for the information to flow through these filters. But if the trust slowly decreases, this filter becomes stronger and it will be harder for the information to pass through. Projects that requires information rich environment will be the one to suffer from the info deprivation. Next is contracts and trust relationships. Projects usually begins with contract or charter. Contract is a legal agreement that includes penalties for any behavior or results not achieved. It is important because they outlet expectation for both parties, protect both parties, and if those expectations aren't met and lack in price, that will be paid for services. While charter is a written document setting forth the governing principles. Contracts and charters is necessary to clearly establish the scope of the project so that no one can claim any misunderstanding. But on the other hand, it doesn't develop the trust simply because both parties complies based on what is indicated in the contract. There is also this term called relationship of mutual trust, which is less formal but vitally important and is a commitment to an open and honest relationship. What matters here is the reputation, integrity, and self-respect. Before a project begin, everyone should trust each other that they will be able to fulfill the project with the help, trust, and unity of everyone. Types of trust. According to Sven Lind's code, he described four kinds of trust. The first one is the objective credibility. This is a characteristic that reflects the truthfulness of an individual that can be checked against observable facts. Second is the attribution of benevolence, which is a form of trust that is built on person's motives or intentions and the conclusions that they are not opposed, enemy, or unfriendly. Third is the non manipulative trust, which is a form of trust that is related or corresponds to an individual's self interest and predictability of an individual's behavior and acting consistent in self interest. Fourth is the high cost of lying. It exists when a person who has the authority increases the cost of lying in order to prevent the people from lying because the penalty or the punishment will be too high. Let's proceed with creating trust. Project manager is the one who establishes trust. Project managers with high trust reputation can easily prop up trust level needed. They can also construct the cost of lying in a way that it communicates expectation and value trust for the project. They also assure that the official or stated goals are aligned same with the operational goals. They also create an atmosphere where informal communication is expected and reinforced. So what is this informal communication? Remember that we are talking about trust. It is important, particularly in building trust between team members and client. It allows deeper understanding of the person in order to create an atmosphere where trust can strongly exist. Building an effective internal communication strategy is a great way to make your workplace more productive, collaborative, and engaged. Let me share you this story about the high cost of flying in a Charleston project. So there is an ongoing project in Charleston, South Carolina. The client for this project keeps on asking for more information about this project, which is not a problem. For better understanding of the details of the reporting requirements, your project manager personally visited the client. Upon their discussion, the project manager discovered that the client is having doubts about the reports from their project. It is because one of the team members shared an inaccurate information to the client. This team member did not even correct the details, thinking that it will not bother the client and the client will eventually neglect it. Due to this incident, the team manager decided to exclude the team member because of two main reasons. First is that the project manager established a high cost of flying, meaning if you committed a mistake, which is dealing with lying, the consequence will be too high. This is one kind of trust that I mentioned earlier, which is the high cost of flying. The decision for the removal of this team member was made because this simple mistake can happen again if it will not be taken action immediately. Second is that the project manager also strengthened an agreement with the client that they will be genuinely honest with the informations dealing with the project. The additional information for investigation is not provided anymore because there are only few lapses made, but the project will continue and these lapses were given immediately action, so the trust is recovered. To ensure the success for complex projects, a team manager needs to take fast and decisive actions in order to establish high cost of flying, communicate the expectation of honesty, and create an atmosphere of trust. Same with the story, the project manager had to make urgent decisions to maintain the trust between the team and the client. Project managers can also establish expectations of team members in order to respect individual differences and skills and look in the positive and recognize accomplishments and value people's self-esteem. Next is managing team meetings, which is conducted depending on the purpose of the meeting. Choosing leadership style that fits perfectly for the meeting and knowing the personality types of the members of the team. Let's proceed to action item meetings. When we pay action item, it is a discrete task that must be accomplished, usually by a single individual or a group. Action item meetings are short meetings to develop understanding of short-term priorities for the project, the individual roles, and expectations for various activity. This meeting is for sharing only and not for problem solving. Action item meetings focus on short-term activities, usually less than a week in duration. Project manager involves necessary people and focus only on the information needed. It is fact-based and information-oriented. So it is a left brain type focus. It has few dialogues unless for asking clarifications. For example, the people involved wanted to have discussions and no agreement is done, then another meeting will take place for other dilemmas. Team members who favor thinking more than feeling and judging more than perceiving are more comfortable with this type of meeting. It is with the use of the Myers-Briggs description. Project managers will develop other opportunities if existence of another issue will arise. It also focuses on data, actions, and commitments. The next one is management meetings. Unlike action IT meetings, management meetings are longer in duration. It is focused on developing plans, tracking progress of existing plans, and making adjustments to plans. Management meeting center is developing middle-term goals. For example, in larger or complex projects, goals may be monthly or quarterly. But for smaller or less complicated projects, weekly goals will provide. The project manager also focus more on the broad priorities and include all the functional leaders in discussion. For example, a team is focused in developing the conceptual understanding of their project during the early stages of the project. When it comes to complex projects, the major milestone is obviously the completion of the conceptual plan itself. The project manager will discuss on how the team will achieve these project milestones, what potential barriers will exist, and the key resources that are needed. With the use of this discussion, the project team will develop goals that integrate function of the project team and focus team on priorities. The following are some examples of goals during the conceptual phase. Developing a list of the procurement long lead items and defining critical dates. Developing a human resources plan that identifies critical positions. And developing and building agreement with the client on the project scope of work. These goals are measurable and time frames specified. These are developed as positive motivators and bring the whole team to success. They have understanding of priorities and can be easily remembered. Management meetings are a combination of left brain thinking, which is fact based, and right brain thinking, which is creative and innovative. With the use of the Myers Briggs terminology, team members who prefer feeling over thinking and perceiving over judging can contribute ideas and perspective on the project. It is also an opportunity to discover obstacles to goal achievement. Personality types reallocates resources and develops alternative methods in order to accomplish the goals. Project manager explores possible obstacles and exposing potential problems in achieving goals. Project manager lets the team focus on finding solutions and not to blame one another. In management meetings, project manager uses a facilitative leadership approach, encouraging the team to contribute their ideas, build consensus on what goals will bring focus. Let's proceed to leadership meetings. So leadership meetings is held less frequently and are longer in length. These meetings are used by project managers to reflect on the project, explore larger issues of the project, and back away from the day-to-day problem solving. Project managers create safe environment for sharing thoughts and evaluations of issues. Leadership meetings is a right-brained, creative meeting that focuses on the people issues of the project, the relationship with the client, vendors, and project team. So, team members who favor feeling and perceiving and intuition often contribute valuable insights here. So, if the time frame for the action item meetings lasts for weeks and management meetings last for months, the time frame for the leadership meeting is longer and takes in the entire length and impact of the project. Skills required for the project manager in action item meetings is more on discussions based on data and facts, and the management meetings is creating right meeting atmosphere, but with the leadership meeting, it's the opposite. So it is discussion which is more open-ended and focused on creativity and innovation. When it comes to the type of meeting, action item meeting is more on focus on info sharing with little discussion, while the management meeting is focused on developing and progressing goals. While in leadership meetings, this is more reflective and focused on the project mission and culture. The three types of meeting, which is the action item meeting, management meetings, and leadership meetings, doesn't cover all types of the project meetings. Problem solving, vendor evaluation, and scheduling meetings are examples of typical project meetings. To understand what kind of meeting is needed on the project and creating right focus for each meeting is a critical project management skill. Moving on with the types of teams. Teams can outperform individual team members in several situations. The effort and time invested in developing a team and the work of the team itself are large investments of project resources. And payback is critical to project success. So teams are effective in several project situations. When no one person has the knowledge, skills, and abilities to either understand or solve the problem. When a commitment to the solution is needed by large portions of the project team. When the problem and solution cross project functions, and when innovation is required. But individuals can outperform teams on some occasions. An individual that faces a problem consumes fewer resources than a team and can perform efficiently as long as the solution meets the needs of the project. A person is most appropriate in the following situations: when speed is important, when one person has the knowledge, skills, and resources to solve the problem, when the activities involved in solving the problem are very detailed, and when the actual documents needs to be written. Let's continue with project teams. Functional teams refers to the team approach related to the project functions. Functional teams is a group of people with a common functional expertise working toward shared objectives. They are traditional corporate teams, often resembles with the whole department. So what are these examples of the functional teams? They are engineering, procurement, and project control team, accounting, marketing, finance, and human resources. The second is the cross-functional teams. It addresses issues and work processes that include two or more of the functional teams. A cross-functional team consists of individuals from different departments who are brought together to solve a particular problem. It can consist full-time or even part-time team members with different roles and responsibilities. Diverse work teams that help fuel innovation. The last one is the problem-solving teams. So they are assigned to address specific issues that arise during the life of the project. It includes members who has the expertise to address various problems. This story is an example on how cross-functional teamwork can be a big stepping stone to finish a project if it will operate with coordination. In Tennessee, a cross-functional team was assigned to develop a project approach to drafting, shooting, and editing educational videos. The difficulty in this project is related to creating the videos, providing the editing equipments, coordination of script drafting, search for talent, and establishment of project controls. You know, the basic necessities when it comes to shooting a particular video. The team members of the project was able to develop and track a plan on how they are going to meet the project goals. In the end, the cross-functional team was successful in designing a process and executing the whole plan because of their frequent and clear communications. Now let's continue with qualitative assessment of project performance. Project managers should allow themselves to ask everyone related to the project questions like, what is your gut feeling about how the project going? Or how do you think our client perceives the project? In that way, it will create opportunity for sharing reflection and exchanging dialogues that deals with larger issues in the project. Another function of the project manager is to create an atmosphere that is beyond referring to data and searching for it. A project manager has several tools in order to develop various information. In quantitative information, you're more on numbers and measurements, so that is the good quantitative information all about, such as the project schedules, budgets and budget reports, risk analyses, and goal tracking. It is essential in understanding the current status and trends on the project. When it comes to developing qualitative information, which is more on comparisons of qualities, such as judgments made by expert team members that go beyond the quantitative data provided in a report. There are people who consider this as gut feeling or intuition, immediate or basic feeling or reaction without a logical rationale. Hum factor. It is developed by Ross Darnell to capture the thoughts of project participants. So, who is Ross Darnell? Russell W. Darnell has more than 25 years of project management experience with some of the largest international companies, and he is also an expert in the human and organizational dynamics of projects. Darnell developed a survey tool, which is called the Hum Factor, in order to capture the thoughts of project participants. The term hum originated from project managers who always claims that they could tell you more just by listening to the hum of their project than reading all of the project details. Usually, the questions included in the hum factor were: do you feel the project is doing the things it needs to do to stay on schedule? Or is the project team focused on project goals? It is distributed on a weekly or less frequent basis depending on the complexity profile of the project. The higher the complexity of the project, the frequent the survey. The qualitative responses are converted to a quantitative values as a score ranging from 1 to 10. Responses are tracked by individuals and the total project, resulting in qualitative comparisons over time. The project team reviews the ratings regularly, looking for trends that indicate an issue that may be emerging on the project that might need exploring. Now, let me share you some examples on how effective home survey in exposing unheard concerns of team members. There is a project in South Carolina that is being surveyed each week for the project leadership. After the surveys, the result from the home factor indicated that there is an increasing worry about the schedule beginning to slip, even if the schedule report states that everything is running harmoniously. The project manager in charge started to investigate concerns with the schedule and discovered that there is suspicious about their critical project supplier. When the project manager asked the team members, they responded that there is something wrong whenever the supplier answers the phone, or the hesitation when they are providing information. They can sense that something isn't right. Eventually, the procurement manager personally visited the supplier involved only to find that the company is experiencing financial problems and had serious cash flow problems. The project manager was able to develop a plan to help the supplier, and fortunately, the supplier recovered and the whole project was able to meet all of its performance goals. With the use of the home factor survey, the team members were able to express their simple concern that was able to expose a problem and discover a remedy. There is also another project that used home factor to survey the client monthly. These surveys were sent to a person who is not involved in the project for anonymity purposes. When the responses were summarized, most of the results that caught the attention of the project manager are the opinion from the team members that they feel that their concerns are not being heard. The project manager digs deeper to understand and realize that the project is focusing on the major milestone of the project, only such as focusing on solving daily problems, spending more time in meetings and longer work days. These activities resulted to fewer conversations with the clients, slower responses in returning phone calls, and fewer coffee breaks where the team members can actually interact with the client. The result of the home survey incorporates better understanding between the project team and the client team. Up next is creating a project culture. Project managers have a unique opportunity during the startup of a project. They create project culture that most of organizational managers seldom do. Organizational culture has developed over the life of organization, and people associated with it understand what is valued, what has status, and what behaviors are expected. According to Edgar H. Shawn, there are three distinct levels in organizational culture. The first one is the artifacts and behaviors. These are the visible elements in a culture and can be recognized by people which is not a part of their culture or that culture. Second is the espoused values. These are organizations' stated values and rules of behavior. The third or the last one is assumptions, which are deeply embedded, taken for granted behaviors that are usually unconscious but constitute essence of culture. Moving on with the characteristics of project culture. A project culture represents the shared norms, beliefs, values, and assumptions of the project team. Project culture is a decisive factor of the project management. All values, basic standards, settings, success, and orientation patterns for the project stakeholders compose a culture. The project culture is then capable when all project participants agree about the project process. The project manager should take care of the regular meetings and relationship management. The project culture contributes, therefore, to the team spirit. The project culture is also a behavior of the participants in the project organization and methods as well as communication forms. The components of the project culture are project name, project logo, project slogan, project language, project related documents, for example, organizational plans, project infrastructure and tools, meetings as well as video conferences and project related events. So culture is developed through the communication. First is with the priority. A task which is regarded as more important than others is a priority. Prioritization is organizing tasks in terms of importance relative to one another. For example, meeting a deadline for a project is a priority over answering a mail from a friend. A project manager deals with competing priorities on a daily basis. Second is the given status. Project status reports are timely on the progress of your projects. And last is the alignment of official and operational rules. Official rules are the rules that are stated, and operational rules are the rules that are enforced. Project managers who align official and operational rules are more effective in developing a clear and strong project culture because the project rules are among the first aspect of the project culture to which team members are exposed when assigned to the project. Let me share you a story about the operational rules on a multi-site project. During an instructional design project, the individuals included are required to collaborate remotely or to work without physical contact. The official rule established is that these individuals would back up their outputs in a location other than the shared folders they were using every week. So it was the specified rule. But then afterwards, instead of having backup or spare copy of their own outputs, only one from them happens to save all of their work. It quickly turned into operational rule because they think that they can ignore the existing official rules. But when this individual fell ill, nobody provides an action that will help improve the situation. When some of the files were corrupted, the team discovered that their recent backups were weeks old, and since they don't have spare copies, they have to redo a lot of work that consumed and wasted time. The team disobeying the official rules and forcing operational rules resulted into problems that badly affected the project. In addition to official and operational rules, the project leadership communicates what is important by the use of symbols, storytelling, rituals, rewards or punishments, and taboos. Another example is about creating a culture of collaboration. A project manager met with his team prior to the beginning of an instructional design project. The team was excited about their prestigious project and the potential for career advancement involved. With this increased competitive aspect came the danger of selfishness and backstabbing. The project leadership team told stories of previous projects where people were fired for breaking down the team efforts and often shared inspirational examples of how teamwork created unprecedented successes. An example of storytelling. Every project meeting started with team building exercises, which is a ritual, and any display of hostility or separatism was forbidden or a taboo, and was quickly and strongly cut off by the project leadership if it occurred. Culture guides behavior and communicates what is important and is useful for establishing priorities. On projects that have a strong culture of trust, team members feel free to challenge everyone who breaks a confidence, even the managers. The culture of integrity is stronger than the cultural aspects of the power of management. Now, the last part is about innovation on projects. Project management is all about breaking new ground, doing things that have never been done before. This places innovation right at the heart of what we do as project managers. In fact, innovation has become a core competency essential to success in a rapidly shifting strategic environment. Innovation is influenced by the nature of the project. Some projects are chartered to develop a solution to a problem, and innovation is a central ingredient of project success. The lack of availability of education to the world at large prompted the education movement, or the open education movement, a highly innovative endeavor which resulted in the textbook that you are now reading. Innovation is developing methods of lowering costs or shortening the schedule. Traditional project management thinking provides a trade off between cost, quality, and schedule. Finding innovative solutions can sometimes lower costs while also saving time and maintaining the quality. Innovation is a creative process that requires both fun and focus. Stress is a biological reaction to perceived threats. Stress at appropriate levels can make the work environment interesting and even challenging. When the stress level is too high, the biological reaction increases blood flow to the emotional parts of the brain and decreases the blood flow to the creative parts of the brain, making creative problem solving more difficult. Fun reduces the amount of stress on the project. Project managers recognize the benefits of balancing the stress level in the project with the need to create an atmosphere that enables creative thoughts. Stress managed on a website design project. When a project manager visited the team tasked with designing the website for her project, she found that most of the members were feeling a great deal of stress. As she probed to find the reason behind the stress, she found that in addition to designing, The team was increasingly facing the need to build the website as well. As few of them had the necessary skills, they were wasting time that could be spent designing trying to learn building skills. Once the project manager was able to identify the stress as well as its cause, she was able to provide the team with the support it needed to be successful. Exploring opportunities to create savings takes an investment of time and energy. And on a time sensitive project, the project manager must create the motivation and the opportunity for creative thinking. That's the end of the chapter 11, which is about resource planning. So that's for today. Again, I am Giffemy and I'm Oculam together with Kim Panes. Thank you for listening. Bye.